Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. We are at uh, Kiowa Island, and you are at ASMM Small Business Connections podcast. I am Ann Brennan, and I am your host. And what I hope to bring you every single time is the opportunity to meet an entrepreneur who gives that you can put to work in your business today. That is my goal. That is what I am always aiming for. So hopefully I do that. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are on episode 81 and we are streaming live. I tell you this every single time because I want you to understand that we've got guests here who you can talk to, who you can ask questions of. And that is a huge thing. You've got experts on the show who can really guide you on what to do in your business because we're alone a lot of the time. We're alone as entrepreneurs. This is really something that I hear from entrepreneurs all the time, is that it's a very lonely business, being in business for yourself. So you've got people here who you can talk to today, who can give you some answers to some of your questions. So I want to remind you to ask questions. Again, today is the last day of September. I tell you that because it is still today National Suicide Prevention Month. And I want to remind you, as entrepreneurs, you are your strong friends. So if you are struggling, many people won't check on you, and that's okay. I wish they would, but they won't. So what I need you to do is, if you're struggling with depression or anxiety or suicidal thoughts at all, I want you to be the brave person I know you are, and I want you to ask for help. That's really important to me because I think you matter. What you do in the world matters today. So I wanted to remind you of that. My guest has just popped in. Let me pull him up. Hi, how are you, Webster?
I'm good. How are you, Anne?
I'm good. And I didn't get a chance to ask you before we started. How do I say your last name?
Sanasi.
Tsenase. I'm glad I didn't try it myself. I would have gotten it all wrong. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Great.
So tell everybody about what you do. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Ooh, wow. So let's see. I do quite a number of things. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I run 3 global companies at this point, and I'm a personal development consultant, a professional speaker, an author, a contributor writer, and yeah, I spend my time publishing books, speaking to people and corporations, consulting, and yeah, so it's yeah, just the usual entrepreneur stuff.
Exactly, because you can never do one thing. I say the same thing. I run my charity. I run a charity and I run a business, and you always have to do more than one thing if you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. So, where are you
Yeah.
coming to us from today?
Well, I'm in sunny South Africa at the moment,
Nice. That's
far away.
lovely. That's lovely. One of my sons, my youngest son, is his band is hoping to take a trip to South Africa next summer.
Oh,
So,
great, great.
yeah, which I guess is your winter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, exactly. So, well, let's get started. So, I want to ask you, one of the things we're going to talk about is vision, creating a vision for your business. So, how do you do this? And you said you don't just create a vision, you said create an irresistible vision. So, what is your suggestion for how to do that?
All right. So the first thing that I want to point out is that normally when I talk about vision, I talk about having a clear vision. And that would be a vision for you, for yourself as an entrepreneur, where you want to be in the future. So your vision has to be very clear. But when I talk about having an irresistible vision, you come to realize that life is not about you, it's not about me, it's about the people around us. So when you have an irresistible vision, it allows those people to come and support you, to support your business. So for you personally, you need a clear vision. You need to know exactly where you're going, exactly how, and everything else. But then when it comes to inviting people to come and help you, to support you, to bring that vision to life, then you need to have an irresistible vision. It needs to be something that draws them. Now, here's one of the tips that I have when it comes to this, is that your vision has to be about serving others. It might sound like a very cliche thing to say, but I found it to be very true. your vision has to be focused on serving other people, not just you, not just this or that community, but it has to be very broad, and it has to be able to support other people. When it does that, then people will kind of it'll kind of give them that energy that, you know what, here's something that I can be a part of. It's not just Webster by himself, for himself, but it's Webster kind of inviting me to come in because I know I can help him and I can do this. So it's about creating a vision that is irresistible, that allows everyone to be able to add value to that vision. And it's not just centered or focused on you as an entrepreneur or you as a person. So that is one of the best things that I found, is just make that vision excuse me, make that vision irresistible by helping it to allowing it to serve other people. So that's number one. And so the second part, which might sound a little crazy, but it's, your vision has to be astronomical. It has to be beyond, or it has to seem as if it's beyond your abilities. Because it's only, in my experience, it's only in that place where, when you feel like, oh my gosh, can I actually pull this off? It's only in that place where you are actually challenged, where you are engaged, when you are forced to stretch yourself. Now, when I say that, I think about like a rubber band, or we call it a rubber band this side. So the more that you stretch it, becomes the more that it can handle. But now the problem with that is that it cannot go back to its original elasticity. It has to keep growing, keep growing. So whenever I talk about this whole vision thing, and I say, make your vision astronomical, it gets to a point where it has to keep growing. It has to stretch you. It has to put you in uncomfortable situations. You have to, at some point, get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really not sure if I can do this by myself. And that's the place you want to be, because you'll be engaged. When your vision is small and it's just focused on you and the $1 million you want and the car and the whatever, it's hard for you to be engaged in that, because as soon as you hit a pitfall, you're like, you know what? Maybe I don't need $1 million. Maybe I just need 200,000. So, but then when your vision is huge and it involves other people and serving other people, then you get to the point where you hit those pitfalls. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get back up quickly? Because there are some people that are counting on me to make this thing work, and they're counting on this to work for them as well. So I need to find a way to get back up and to do this again. I need to find a way to do this smarter and to find a way to do this quicker. So those are the two main points that I cover in that whole vision thing. It needs to be focused on helping people, and it needs to be astronomical, which allows you to really be engaged and focused and challenged in it.
I absolutely love that. And it's something that people don't understand when I talk about my own business. I do that with my employees. I say, my goal is to have, especially there's a lot of women who work for me. And we had a friend last year who lost her husband and suddenly is going, oh my God, how do I take care of my family? Right.
Yeah.
And so I would like to get the women who work with me to a point where they are like, I could, if something happened to my family, we would still be okay. If something happened to my spouse, we would still be okay. That's a really big thing to look for. But if I can help my employees to get there, then whatever, then clearly I'm going to do okay too. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a small example, but there's so much more. I love your idea of creating something that's astronomical, something that's so much bigger. So, I also wanted to talk to you. And one of the reasons I invited you on was this idea of understanding who you are as an entrepreneur. It's so important. So why do you think that's so important?
Now this is one of my favorite questions, because I found that for me specifically, everything revolves around my identity, or who I believe I personally am. It's got nothing to do with them and this and all of that. Everything centers around, who do I really believe I am? My success centers around it. And sometimes I fail because I don't understand who I am. So when it comes to understanding who you are, here's a question that I'd like to ask to people and to you personally. I want to ask you a very simple question. Very stupid, but very simple. Who are you? Right? And if you were to answer that question, and I was like, gee, Anne, tell me, who are you? Answer the question.
Yeah. So for me, I am always going to say I'm a mom first, right? So
Yeah,
everything I do for my family. I
yeah.
am, and even though I'm an entrepreneur, before I'm an entrepreneur, am a person who is a mental health advocate. My job, whatever I'm doing as a mom, as an entrepreneur, everything I do revolves around being a mental health advocate, which means that
Mm.
I'm more kind to people, even when I am, crazy mad or I am something is going really wrong. I try really hard to be kind to people because I think kindness is so important to other people's mental health. So
Mm.
that's who I am. Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer. Now, would you be shocked if I was to tell you that, Anne, I don't believe that that's who you are? And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Let's take away the
Uh,
fact that you're a mom,
mhm.
right? Let's take away the fact that, this is the work that you do, that you're an entrepreneur. If we can strip off all those titles from you, what's left? What's left? And this is a question that I'd asked myself so many times, because whenever we ask ourselves these questions, we normally give an answer similar to the one that you're giving me. This is what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. This is how I feel, and this is. And then, I got to a point where I realized that no, you know what? That's not who I actually am, because God forbid, should that be taken away from me, then it would feel like a part of me has been taken away from me because I am identifying what I'm doing with who I am, and it's two different things. So if we can strip all of those things away, what's left? Because whatever's left, that's who you are. And this is my answer when it comes to who are you? You
Okay.
are a living being. You're a living being who is simply here to help other people in whichever way that you have been gifted, if you will, to help people. You have your own inclinations, natural inclinations, and certain things that come easy to you. You help people in this world. You're living a life. You're not just here to live and to die and to do this and to do that. You're here to live a life, an amazing life, by helping other people to do whatever it is that they want to do, and you have already been given the tools intrinsically. You've already been given everything that you need in order to fulfill that. Everything else that comes after is an addition, is an add-on. It's great, it's nice to have, but that is who you are. Because we get to a point where we kind of rely so much on, I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a whatever. We tend to put so much faith in the actual title and in what we do for a living, and forgetting that no, that's not what we're actually doing for a living. We all do the same
Right.
thing, and it's basically serving other people, or that's what successful people do. So
Right.
that's basically how I look at it whenever I ask people, like, who are you? And when I'm asking people, like, who are you and how do you understand who you are? Well, here are some very simple ways that we can do this. I always encourage people to investigate themselves. Always investigate yourself
Right.
and know yourself. Like, do you really, really, really know yourself? And they're like, yeah, I know this is my favorite color, this is my favorite food, this is my favorite hangout spot, this is what I love doing. But those are very surface things. I want us to dig a little bit deeper. So I want you to really start figuring yourself out and start asking yourself, gee, Webster, what are my deepest desires? Like, what do I want to do? Not stuff that I'm influenced to do, and because I saw Anne do this or Jenny do that, but like, what do I want to achieve? What do I really want to do? Why am I doing what I'm doing? So by doing that, you start to uncover certain aspects of yourself and certain desires that hide behind certain behaviors. So when you do this, let's say, for example, you start to realize that, oh, hold on a second, what I really want to do is to provide for my family. That's what I actually want to do. And one of the ways I do that is by being an entrepreneur. So you don't let the fact that you're an entrepreneur or whatever it is that you're doing, you don't let that, when certain things happen, certain things don't go well, you don't let that overcome you, because that's not what you're in this for. You're in this to provide for your family, and you'll do that in whichever way that you need to do that. So when you fall around and certain things happen, they don't work out the way you want to, you fall back onto, wait, I'm doing this for my family, so I can't really quit. There
Right.
has to be another way out of this. So that's just one of the ways that you can do that. Start asking yourself certain questions and dig a little bit deeper into who you are, why you do what you want to do, why you do what you're doing, and so forth. But now, in order to illustrate this point a little bit more, let's look at superhero movies, right? People like Superman and Spider-Man and so forth. I love superheroes.
Yes, me
So,
too.
these are heroes. We look up to them. They're freaking awesome. We love them. But in all of them, they always have some kind of an arch enemy. There's the
Right.
Joker. There's the so, and it's the same. It's the same way in life. And those enemies are there to distract the heroes. They're there to stop them from fulfilling their purpose, and stuff like that. And in life, it's the same thing, except that in real life, you are the actual villain. You're the villain and you're the hero of your own life.
Right.
And now that's where it gets a little bit tricky and very complicated. Because when I say that, you are both the solution and the problem, that kind of strips away every other excuse that we normally have. Oh no, it's her, it's him, it's the government, it's this, it's that. No, you are the problem. You are the
Right.
actual problem. So here's how we look at this. So now, if I had an enemy, this is what I like, helping people understand. If you had an enemy and they had to stop your business, and their purpose was to stop your business, their purpose was to stop your flow, their purpose was to create plateaus in your business and in your finances, how would they do it? How would
Right.
they do it? Now you need to sit and think, okay, if I was to stop myself, if I was to do that, how would I do that? And that allows you to be unbiased with the kind of things that you face, and the plateaus that you have in your life, and you're like, oh, hold on a second, I have a short temper, so I would probably try my best to get myself angry all the time, and that would probably distract my focus from my work and my focus from this, and that would redirect it to this, and that would probably waste my time. Yeah, oh, I would do this, I would do that. So the more that you ask yourself those questions and you put yourself in that seat and become your own enemy, then you're like, oh, wait a second. This is already happening in my life.
Right.
This is what's already happening. Oh, wait, I'm the one actually allowing this to happen. Oh, okay. So now what do I need to do? What do I need to do? So when I talk about understanding who you are, it's basically just you stepping out of your own skin and saying, okay, I know everything about this guy. I know everything about this girl. Now, how do I stop them? How do I
Right.
do this? How do I do that? And once you know those things, then you're like, oh, now you can see them from afar off. And you're like, okay, I see this is going to distract me. So let me move this way. Let me stop this. Let me put my phone away. Let me not look at the comments. Let me not check what she said. Let me not check what he said. And that allows you to kind of move on. So understanding who you are is a process. It's not something that just happens. It's not you don't do it overnight. It's something that you need to, get yourself used to every single day and reflect on who you are and on what you want as well. And on, okay, wait, did I actually do what I wanted to do today?
Right.
No.
Well,
Why
and
not?
that's why this is so important, that you stop and you take time to reflect on a daily
Yeah.
basis. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's as you're saying this, I think it's interesting because those who are listening don't know, but when you had not come on yet, and I'm sitting here kind of looking and thinking, okay, if he doesn't show, what do I do? Right. And so I had created some notes to the side. This is what I'm going to talk about. And this is what I was going to talk about. Focus on the things you can change. Stop getting sucked in, focus on the things you can change. And that was
Yeah.
exactly that point, is that
Exactly.
too often, especially the reason it came up today is last night was the US presidential debate. And it
Yeah. Yeah.
was
Yeah.
awful. And this morning, when I went on Twitter and I went on LinkedIn, I went on Facebook, everybody was distracted by this debate. And I'm like, is there anything you could actually do? Is there
Yeah.
anything you could actually change about what just happened? There's not. So, what's going on in your life and in your business that you can change right now and move forward? And that's so I love that you're talking about this, because I think it is so what we're talking about. It is exactly
Yeah,
what you're talking about, right? So
yeah,
you've got to focus on yourself. So after you do that though, you focus on yourself, you figure out who you are, you figure out what you're doing, and you create this vision. You've got to start studying your industry, and
yeah.
not just your industry, but the people around you as well, the competition around you. So talk a little bit about that, about what you mean when you talk about studying your industry.
Right. So when it comes to studying your industry, it's something that wow, it's something that I learned the hard way, and it's something that I've seen many entrepreneurs learn the hard way as well. Unfortunately, you get to a point where because you think you know what, this idea is amazing, this is gonna work, this is gonna work, and you get so enthused about it that you kind of bypass this whole studying your industry part, and then you bring out something that you believe is great and everyone else believes it's not. And then you're
Right.
like, why? What just happened? And your business fails. And so many businesses fail because they just don't study their industry. It's something that's very important because when you're an entrepreneur, you are doing, you are serving other people. It's about them. It's not about you. It's about them. I like, I hate it when people are like, you know what, I'm a self-made millionaire. I did this, and you're not self-made. You're not
Right.
self. You don't. You're not even your own boss. If we're to be technical, everyone else is your boss. Your customers are your boss. They pay you. No one is self-made. And so when it comes to studying your industry, you want to make sure that you understand the kind of industry that you're getting yourself into, right? So for me, if for example, if it was the speaking industry, I need to understand, okay, what does the speaking industry look like? How does it work? And how has it been growing? And what are the issues concerning it? And how does it work? And who are the top 5 people in that industry that I can watch? So when you study your industry, and it's very easy to study your industry. I mean, we live in the age of Google nowadays. You can literally just type in whatever industry that you are in, and you can see everything about it. And that's what you need
Right.
to do. You need to understand the statistics around that industry. How well it's doing, and what the issues are. And like I said, the biggest part is at least catch five five prominent people who are excelling in that industry, and you want to kind of like check them out, kind of get to
Oops. We're losing you a little bit,
them
Webster. I'm gonna. Oh,
because
there you go. You've come back. You
oh, can you
cut
see me
out for a
now? Am I
minute.
back?
Yes, I got you back.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
No, so you
All
were
right. So
talking
when it
about,
comes to
yeah,
this, you wanna.
go
Oh
ahead.
no,
You're
go
good.
ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, you have
So
to
you
pay
want to
attention to
find.
what's going on. If you think about, like, one of the things I do a lot of is I read and listen to a lot of biographies about
Yeah,
famous entrepreneurs, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm looking for, maybe I'm not Walt Disney, but
Yeah,
I can see what he did and how he grew his business. Like Jeff Bezos, I can look and see what are the things he did that helped
yeah.
grow that. And so when you're looking at your industry, I agree. I think it's a great point that that's what you have to do.
Exactly, exactly. And you know, you may not be Walt Disney, but you're Anne Brennan, right? You're,
Right.
you're the best Anne Brennan there ever will be. So, and
Exactly.
and it gets to the point of, here's a little segue, if you will, when it comes to mindset. And I always teach this thing where I say, you know what, there may be, the Bill Gates of the world and so forth. They're great, they're rich, they're doing well and stuff like that. But you never need to be intimidated by that. You never need to feel like, okay, you know what? I need to be like Bill Gates. I need to get to that level or whatever. Bill Gates doing whatever Bill Gates wants to do. He's living his best life, and he's,
Right.
achieving whatever it is that he set out to achieve. So the problem is when we idolize these people, and we now start copying everything in order to get the same results that they, and I've realized that you can never get the same results by copying the same things. It just doesn't work that way. Life is so incalculable. I could give you the best recipe with everything. I can I can bake the cake, and I can give you the recipes, and our cake sometimes will not even taste the same, and you're like, but I did everything the same way. Like, I don't know how it works, but life is very incalculable. You can never get the same results. And that's unfortunately what a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck into when it comes to this, which is why the part before this one that we spoke about, understanding who you are, I think is very important. But now moving
Right.
on with studying your industry, when you start studying your industry, two things will happen. You'll start to realize that, you know what, I can actually do this. When you study your industry, you start to convince yourself that, you know what, this is actually possible. I can actually succeed in this business because, there's a market for it. People are actually willing to pay for this. So what
Right.
do I have to do? Wait, I need to do this. I need to solve the problem. I need to do that. So it convinces you that, okay, my idea is actually feasible. It can actually work because it's not something unique that no one has ever thought of. It's I want to speak. I have a message that I want. If you're in the speaking industry, this is the message that I wanna speak, that I want to spread to people, and so forth and so forth. And then the other thing that helps when you start researching the industry is that it helps you to understand if what you have to offer is going to work for that market or not. So
Right.
that's something that's very important, because I'll give you an example. So many times, there was a shopping center where I used to live before, and there was this shopping center. There was I forgot what restaurant it was. It was a restaurant. It didn't do very well. I think it was there for like 3 months and then they left. And then there was a new one. It was there for 2, 3 months as well and left. And I kid you not, this happened the whole year.
Right.
And people were coming in, people were going out, coming in and going out. And I asked myself, well, why is this happening? And I've come to understand that no, it's happening because there are many restaurants just around in the same compound. And like you can't have three McDonald's you can't have three McDonald's shops operating in the same square. It doesn't make sense. One has to
Right.
work and the other two is not going to work. So because a lot of people, we don't really research if people are going to be interested in what I have to offer. We just go straight into getting the ball rolling, and things don't work out, and we're like, whoa, why?
Well, and sometimes they don't pay attention. We actually have a similar one. We have a place where there's been a restaurant in, restaurant out,
Yeah,
restaurant in, restaurant out, same place every time. And as a customer, and I'm not a customer of this restaurant, but
yeah,
if that person had said to me, any of them, why aren't people coming here? I'd say, there's only one way in. There's not enough parking. And if you're coming from the other direction, you can't get to it. And when I leave, I have to go that direction, which means I can't go back towards my house. It's too much of a pain logistically. But they don't
yeah.
really figure that out until they move into this location. And it's like, well, wait a second, stop and think, why have all these other ones failed? And what could I do to not fail?
That's
Is there
that's a
something I could do to not fail in that same location, or should I go to a different location?
that's a very good point. And I think it also points back to the whole feedback. A lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs don't employ a feedback loop. There's no ways of them knowing, oh wait, is this actually working? What do the customers think? They just go straight into things. They don't research. They're not sure. They're going on a hunch. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. And I think that's one of the reasons why they fail. So when you study your industry, you kind of have a bigger picture of what you need to do and how you need to do it, and how other successful companies have actually done, or other successful entrepreneurs who might be offering something that is similar to yours. So
Right.
one of the reasons why I like the whole studying the industry part is when I said you need to find the five, one of the top five people in that industry who are doing very well and study them. And just as you were saying, I hate television. I hate TV. I don't watch it. But the one thing that I do is I always watch interviews of successful people, and I watch the videos, and I want to understand. I want to get into their minds. I need to understand, why do you do what you're doing, and what's helping you, and what do you do every day, and how do you think, and how do you do this. So one of the ways to do that is to study those people, just as you were saying, study their failures, because that's going to help you understand what pitfalls are coming your way as well. Because there's certain pitfalls that happen to everyone in that industry. So when you know, or when you've studied these people and you've studied their failures, then you can see them from afar off, and you can decide what exactly you want to do. You need to study their
Right.
successes. You need to study their behaviors, which is very, very, very important. You need to know what is it that they're doing on a daily basis that seems to be catapulting them into further success, more and more and more. What are they doing? What do they do at this? How
Right.
long do they do this for? You need to know their behaviors. And then you also need to study the most important part, their mindset. And this comes from when you were saying you read their autobiographies, you read their books if they have books, and so forth. So when you read that, I've always found that when you read their books, if they have any, it always gives you an in-depth knowledge on who they really are, how they were feeling, their childhood, how they were raised, and what people, who said this and who said that. And it's always those things that actually determine someone's success and whether they're going to make it in life or not. And so you start understanding that, oh, okay, this is why Jeff Bezos is as successful as he is, right? Very good
Right.
at computer science. He studied that. Oh, okay, that makes sense with all this Amazon stuff. But then you come to find out that one of the reasons why he's ridiculously successful is because he still has that vision to populate space. He's always had that vision as a child, and now look at
Right.
it now it's like, oh, now we're using Amazon success to fund us having to go to the moon and do all these other things that you want to do. So he never gave up. He's still the same guy. Still has the same vision, and everything is moving towards him fulfilling that vision. And it seems like he's actually going to do that because he's already started. So it's
Right.
that kind of. So you need to research those people and start to understand why is he successful? Why is she successful? And I know we all have certain, low parts in our lives and stuff like that. But how did you overcome that? And how did you overcome this? How did it not stop you? And you can only
Right.
get to those conclusions by actually studying them, whether you're getting their books or reading about them, articles, or hearing about them, whichever way that you can, you need to study those top 5 people. And by doing that, don't copy them. I'm not saying copy them or try and use the same strategies as them. Don't do that. It's not going to work for you. But what you
Right.
can do with having studied the industry, you can use what you've now found out. You can use it as a framework for you, and then you can just add your unique style. You can add your USP into that framework, and then now you have something that everyone else is offering. Because you're not offering the same thing that everyone else is offering. You're offering something uniquely different, which is you. But then within the framework
Right.
of that market, what works in that market. So that is like the easiest way of studying your industry, and the easiest way for you to kind of be successful in that respect.
Right. Uh,
Yeah.
Webster, our time has flown. I'm looking at the clock and I am absolutely shocked by how fast this went. I want to know, how do people find you? Can you tell me how people find you so I can I'm going to put it on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to let people know, but tell people how they can find you.
Okay, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all my handles are at Webster Tsenase, for all my social media pages and stuff. So at Webster Tsenase. And other than that, geez, I've got senaseglobal.com, which is my consulting company. When we consult and do personal development consulting, that's complicated because that's SENNASI global.com.
Okay. So spell that one more time.
SENNASI global.com.
Global.com, because I'm putting it across the bottom of the screen here so that people can find you. I think I am. We'll see where it disappeared to. It seems to have disappeared on us.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness. So I can't, but I'm going to put your name across the bottom here, and they can find you at on Instagram, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Facebook. I found you on Facebook just so people know. Sometimes I find my guests different ways. Sometimes they reach out to me. Sometimes I reach out to them. Webster and I met on the Speakers Hub.
Yeah.
So it was. I was just looking at that this morning to see how was it we originally connected. So yeah, it's on the Speakers Hub because you do a lot of public speaking. So
Yeah.
you hang on a minute. Thank you so much for coming on. Hang on a minute. I'm going to go through our last bits and then I'm going to end the show and come right back to you. So hold on one second.
Okay.
All right. I want to remind everybody that we are on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We are pretty much everywhere where you can watch or listen is where you can find us. On podcasts, we're on Spotify. We're on Alexa. You can ask Alexa to play us. We're on iTunes. We're everywhere you can listen to a podcast. But it will help us a lot if you subscribe. So subscribe us specifically on YouTube. We're really looking for some subscribers there. We're also looking for some reviews. If you have time, if you've listened to this and gotten out something out of it, we could use reviews wherever you're listening to your podcast. So please do that. And again, please help support our guests by going and following them on social media and seeing what they're up to even after the show. That's something that's really, really helpful to all of our guests. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We're on episode 80. I think we'll hit 100 before the end of the year. And then we're going to do a little bit of a pivot and change the show up just a little bit. So I'm hoping everybody will stay around and keep us going through the new year. We're really excited about that. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.